My favorite part of living in this area is the mountains. It's really comforting living in the valley, I think, and it's so quiet, and you have the freedom to explore and roam around and just be able to live quietly and peacefully.
I think the best part about growing up here would have to be the access to recreation, to the outdoors that I never realized I had until I moved away and lost it. All we wanted to do was move away, and once we moved away, almost immediately we were scheming a way to get back.
My biggest inspiration was really just because I love to make art with my hands. I mean, ever since I was little, I would paint pictures or, do crafts or glue paper together. And that's why I went to school for architecture, because I loved to design and make things.
It was the equipment that really inspired me. I worked as a manufacturing engineer. I did industrial automation with robotics and things. And I looked at these presses. They were 100 years old, and they were in service, operating, making businesses money for 75 years. It was something about this equipment that I really fell in love with. Someone stood at this press and spent years learning how to master it, and then made his living to feed his family and send his kids to school from this equipment. And I didn't want to see it go to a scrapyard, and I didn't want to see the profession of letterpress printing be confined to history books.
The biggest challenge really was basically just learning how to print. I mean, like Joe said, these printers from the past would spend years before they were even allowed to touch a press. They would have to apprentice.
I mean, you would start out, you would sort lead type for years before you were even allowed to touch a press or mix ink.
We kind of had to crush everything into a short amount of time and just kind of teach ourselves, and we had some mentors, and just learn how to use the equipment and learn how to use it right. We had talked to each other while we were learning how to print and said, can you imagine if we were printing this for a customer, how stressful it would be? So one day we got an order from the coasters that I put online, and they wanted to get custom coasters printed. So of course I would email back and forth like I knew exactly what I was doing and trying to make it seem like I wasn't, secretly freaking out. But we got the job printed, and after that a couple more jobs came in, and then pretty soon it just became second nature where we weren't scared to do it anymore.
We've done about everything wrong that you could. We've learned how not to print, but we've grown from it, and our work, I believe, speaks for itself.
It's hard to decide what you want to do with your life, right off the bat. Like, personally, I thought I wanted to be an architect, and that's why I went to school for 5 years. And my passion for art didn't change over those years, which I think is why my education, even though I'm not creating architecture today, I developed the skills in college while I was learning these things to be able to do what I do today. I mean, a lot of the design process and time management.
Get an education, but along the way, learn the lessons that you need to continue on if you want to change directions. I went from working with robotics to running 100-year-old printing presses. And I still use all that education that I've had before now, but I've reapplied it in a different area.
If you have a vision for something you want to do with your life, and you want to start your own business, you just have to keep that vision in your mind no matter what, because it's not going to happen overnight. And it's not going to be easy. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And you just have to remember every day that you're working towards this to make this happen for yourself. So it's important to always remember to have the drive, and that you can make it happen. If you want it to happen, then it will.